like to look at seasonality after the fact. Like, did the market ignore seasonal trends or did the market respect them? It's really all it is. Like, so if the market during a seasonally weak period has been strong, which by the way, that whole sell in May and go away thing, S&Ps are up double digits since then. So, strength in a seasonally weak period to me stands out. You saw it before the Trump election. Remember, they're all like, oh my God, if Trump gets elected, the market's going to crash, volatility is going to spike. As it turns out, it was the exact opposite. It was one of the greatest 12 months in the history of the stock market, one of the least volatile periods of all time. But you saw that prior to the election because you saw strength in equities, in small caps during a seasonally weak period. So that's how I look at it, more so than, just sell everything, market's going to crash, election, whatever. And if you go to the next chart, I think that this is a big one because you've got a third of the S&P 500 is technology. And when you look at technology on a relative basis, so this is tech relative to the S&P 500, we are now back to the dot-com bubble highs. Like, we are back there now. We've been there for 6 weeks, have not made any progress, just kind of seen this as a mess. So as an observer of markets, when I see something like this, the question is very simple. How long is this resistance going to last? We know it's there. The market's obviously observed that. We've seen that tech underperformance as other areas have carried the market. But how long is it going to take? Is it going to be months? Is it going to be quarters? Is it going to be years? I have no idea. But I will tell you that semiconductors relative to the S&P 500 have already exceeded those dot-com bubble highs. So if you look to semiconductors as a leading indicator, which I like to do, and that's historically been a good idea to do, which is why we pay attention to semis. Semis have already exceeded that, which leads me to believe technology ultimately will do the same. How long is it going to take? That's the big question here for me going into September.
Do we need tech to continue the bull market? I mean, is that like a mandatory thing?
I mean, listen, the S&P 500 on an equally weighted basis is making new all-time highs. Healthcare is making new all-time highs. Materials just closed at an all-time high. Industrials keep making new all-time highs on an equally weighted basis and on a market cap weighted basis. So it's very broad in terms of what we're seeing. Now, can technology just absolutely start crashing from here and expect the S&P 500 to go higher? Probably not. So, some underperformance from technology, some spotty big winners versus just everything go up sort of situation. I think in a scenario like that, the stock market can continue to progress. It's just how bad is the disaster in technology is really all it is. So far, it hasn't been that bad, and the stock market's doing great, right?
So here's one of Paruna's charts, and this one is sort of pulling the election cycle out of it, just to look at an even sort of more basic trend in the NASDAQ, just to continue with the sort of technology-centric index, that September and October tend to be poor months every year, not just election years. Is that right, JC?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we've had good Septembers, we've had good Octobers, we've had really bad Septembers, really bad Octobers. If you X out like 1987 and Great Financial Crisis, the numbers aren't as bad. So, listen, we're all adults here. You can make the data say whatever you want it to say. At the end of the day, I'm more interested in how the market behaves during what is supposed to be a seasonally weak period rather than making investment decisions based on the fact that historically these have been a weak couple of months. I'm more interested in, where's the relative strength? Where's the relative weakness? Where do we want to own things? Correlations are so low right now because we're so among stocks, because we're so far into this bull market. We're over 2 years into this bull market. When shit hits the fan, that's when correlations spike to 1. These correlations are next to nothing. So what you're seeing a lot of names do very well in a market environment that isn't progressing. You're seeing names doing very poorly in an environment, in a market environment that's very steady. I think you're going to keep seeing that. I think you're going to see big winners and big losers. That's okay.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with JC just on the price action. It's fine, right? So I think the key thing here is knowing back to school, back to work, the monotony of change of seasons. You had your summer. It's never fun to go back and seasons change. Mood matters, and generally it's a moody bitch month, September, October, because seasons change. Throw in the election, throw in social media to amplify what was generally a bad season anyways overall. right? Just talking about if you look at the markets. So knowing that, you have to do what JC says and say, what's more important here is knowing all that, how did the markets actually perform? So, use September and October to watch. You don't have to do much, but coming out of September, October, if you just do nothing, you'll be able to know a lot more just by seeing how the market reacted through a typical week, couple of months, right? And that'll tell you more than the actual market moving itself.